All right, folks, starting off in our laying down position, we are just going to breathe. Allow your body to really spread out. Take up a whole lot of space here. Give your shoulders a good tuck underneath your rib cage. And just let your chest expand and contract. Feel your belly expand and contract. And you might notice, like a lot of humans do, that you might feel tense. You might feel tension across your chest, across your ribs and your belly. And we do collect a lot of our daily contraction and tension right in the open front part of the body here. So breathe into all that. And we want to feel tension melting away with each breath. And notice what places tend to soften more easily than others, okay? Hopefully you feel a little release in your low back, especially if you have a little bend in your knees. That'll help your low back kind of let go. And if you put a little tuck in your chin, just a little tuck, so that the back of your neck is nice and long on the floor. It might even give you a really nice long feeling in your spine, feeling of neutrality. So we'll start to bring in just a little bit of movement here. Let's make goalpost arms and bring them out to the side. It's kind of like you're making a W with your arms. And walk your feet up close by your hips and then away from each other. And we're set up for windshield wipers. So here we go, dropping knees side to side. We just want to wake up the hips a little bit. So let your hips get a little warmer each time. And I find that if you really start out making this very gentle and really hardly doing anything at all, just let gravity do the most of the work for a while, then as things warm up, you can put a little bit more activity into your legs and actively move the knees downward. Okay, looking for a little bit more freedom in that low back. All right, bring the knees back in, bring them up and in, and pause there. Keep your feet nice and wide, but just drop your knees together. So you'll feel right away your hips are internally rotating, and so that allows you a lot of freedom behind your hips. So maybe even your low back releases a little more. So let's just rest our legs like this for a little while. Keep your goalpost shape in your arms. So you're kind of lifting your shoulder blades up and in towards your chest, so that you're up and in towards your rib cage, so that your chest peels open. And keep the palms facing up. Keep the elbows skimming low as you reach behind you, extending your arms, and then pull your elbows down. So kind of like you would reach up for a chin-up bar or reach up for a bar and then pull down on it. Your arms stay pretty much in the same plane. So reach up tall on the inhale, pull it down on the exhale. I want you to feel your upper body waking up here. And you can make this really super gentle, or you can make it really active and strong. And you're always kind of making those calls when you're practicing. You're always interpreting and finding the right vibe for today. Reach out long here and hold your arms out there nice and long. Let's echo that with the lower body. So get the legs nice and long too. Okay, I'm going to ask you to activate your core here. So pulling your belly button down toward the ground. Okay, feel your low back is safe and it's close to the floor. And then if it feels all right, go ahead and lift your head just off the floor. If that's enough core activity and engagement for you, stay here. It's quite fine. Or you can lift one leg, two legs. Okay, breathe. Strong in the core. Keep pulling that belly button down to the ground. So often we collect a lot of low back tension, okay? That's one of our areas of opportunity. We collect tension there. And if we do a little bit of core activation, we can actually help the low back release. So let's do one more big breath here. And then let it go. Release your head and shoulders, arms and legs. Notice how your low back is feeling after that. Go ahead and bring your knees in and give yourself a nice hug. Hands on your shins. And I think it's nice to stir the femurs in their hip sockets here. Okay, think of it as kind of a little massage inside your hip and take it around the other way. Okay, we're going to rock it up to a seat. So tuck your hands behind your knees here. And see if you can, we'll do a few. We'll rock it up and roll it down. See if you can rock it up, roll it down with control. Rock it up, maybe hold up top and float, and roll it down. One more time, rock it up. See if you could float up top. Maybe one nice big breath in this boat posture with your long spine. And then release that. Go ahead and drop your feet. We're just going to point knees out to one side here and flip it over to hands and knees. So I'll meet you there. Hands and knees. Let's get the right hip up and circle it out and start to really warm it up. Right knee up, circle out that hip. We'll keep the hips level at first. Rewind it. And now open up that hip. So we're no longer concerned about leveling them off. Big movement. Rewind that. Feel your obliques kick in, okay? Okay, next time that right knee comes around front by your right elbow, step right foot by your right hand. We'll find a nice little lunge here. We're gonna move and flow a little bit, so we'll take it nice and slow a couple times. Up on your fingertips, maybe one hand is on either side of your right leg. Just maybe move the left knee around until you feel just enough opening on the back of your right leg and the front of your left. And then try this. See if you can really ground into your legs here. Reach your hands all the way up. So take a big breath in. Strong legs push down as you lift your heart. As you exhale here, drop your fingers under your shoulders, just where they were before. Pull your hips back. Point those toes, right toes, at your nose. So you're getting a stretch on the back of your right leg now. Okay, and we'll do that again. So right foot on the floor, up to that lunge on your inhale. Think of lifting your heart as you press down with your legs. Exhale, all the fingers down. Pull the hips back. Point those toes at your nose. Nice and slow. Let's do that one more time. Coming up on the inhale. Bringing it down on the exhale. Nice. Coming out of that, go ahead and plant your palms back on the floor. We're going to bend that right knee back, send it all the way back to hands and knees, and switch sides. So here comes the left knee up. Let's keep the hips level as we circle it out. Okay, rewind it. You want to feel a little heat building in that hip. Okay, now we're gonna really pick the hip up, the left hip up, and stack it and make big circles. All right, rewind. Next time that left knee comes forward, we're gonna drop the left foot by the left hand. Okay, and we're gonna set up a lunge. So take your time setting yourself up, come up on your fingertips. Maybe the left hand is on the other side of the left foot. Move the right knee so it's just right. And then strong pressing down into your legs. Big breath in, coming up into your low lunge. So Anjaneyasana, legs press down, heart lifts. Then exhale, all the hands come down. Pull those hips back into a half split. Left toes point at your nose. So nice and slow. We'll do it 2 more times. Big breath in. Okay, we're just kind of opening up any tension in and around your hips, warming up that tissue. 1 more time. Big breath in, coming up. Big exhale, coming down. Okay, bringing it back to that lunge, all hands down. Let's scoop this left leg under and back. 2 hands and knees. Tuck your toes here. We'll bring it up to a forward fold. So if you just press into your feet, lift your knees, and walk your hands back by your feet. We can really hang here, so really bend your knees, okay? Hang your head, let your spine hang. Okay, maybe bend 1 knee at a time, a little more. You can grab your elbows and swing. And I want to roll up really gently and really slowly here. So take your time. As you're ready, press into your heels. Push down. You want to stack your vertebrae like the very first time you're ever standing up. As you inhale and reach way up. Exhale here, hinge at your hips. We're going to fold all the way down. So as you're hinging at these hips, you're trying your best to keep your spine long. You might bend your knees, okay? Let's do that again. Inhaling, push into your heels, strong legs, roll it up. And exhale, hinge it down. Bend those knees so you don't get any tightness in your hamstrings. 1 more time. Big breath in, rolling up. Big exhale, coming down. Nice, palms are down here. Walking those hands forward. Come back down to hands and knees. Okay, let's get a little bit more twisty. So from here, again, get your your right foot forward by your right hand. And again, move the left knee to the perfect spot. So maybe back a little bit if you want. And we'll get the right hand up. So reaching up, take a big breath in. I want you to push down into that left hand as you reach up with your right. Big chest. As you exhale, bend that right elbow and see if you could send it towards your left wrist. So I want you to bend into the left elbow. Just go as close as you want, okay? Close as you need to for your practice today. Let's do it again. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bring it down. Can we come up 1 more time and hold there? So here we go. Inhaling, pressing into that left hand, reaching up with the right. Hold here. I want to offer you options. So you can always come down. You can always put that right hand on your right knee and just take a break. You can hang here, or you can tuck the left toes and lift the left knee. No matter where you are, strong legs, okay? Strengthen that bottom arm, okay? It's not passive. Nice breath into the right side of the chest. A great twist here. 1 more big breath, my friends. And on your exhale, drop that back knee if it was up. Okay, we're dropping this top hand, the right hand, inside the right foot. Now let's enjoy this little lunge. So if you could, just line your right arm, your forearm, with your right lower leg. So you're trying to fuse your right arm and your right lower leg together and start to squish them into each other. So like the wind is blowing really hard and you're trying to hold a piece of paper between them. And then notice how that feels in your right hip. And keep that squeeze. Keep the arm and the leg. Breathe here. So we're going to take several more breaths. And you have the option to stay here, to back out. You can come down to your elbows if you want to move further into it. But keep that inward pressing feeling in the right knee. Okay, should feel like a nice release on that right knee. Maybe one more big breath in here. And then let it go. We'll come back up on our elbows. Okay, if you were down on so back up on your hands if you were down on your elbows. Tuck these left toes. Okay, and we'll send it back to hands and knees. So bring back that right foot. And then again, let's come back to a forward fold. So tuck your toes, lift those knees. Hands walk back to your feet. Again, just hang here. Shake it out, shake it off. It might feel good now that your shoulder is a little warmer to join your hands behind you. Move them away. Make your longest neck. And we're going to roll up just like we did before. We'll do it 3 times, nice and slow. Here we go. Inhaling, press into your heels, roll it up. Stacking vertebrae. Maybe a little back bend up top where you lift your heart. And exhale, hinge at your hips all the way down. Nice and controlled. 2 more times. Inhale, roll it up. Exhale, hinge it down. 1 more, guys. Roll it up. Hinge it down. From here, palms are coming down. And we're walking them forward, back to hands and knees. So come on back. All right, we're here again. We're going to do the other side. So this time, take your left foot forward by your left hand. Again, move the right knee back. Find the right placement for it. Okay. And ready to twist? So we'll lift that left hand here, pushing into the right. Big twist. Inhale. And exhale. Bend that left elbow. How close can you get it to your right wrist? Let's do 2 more, okay? Inhale. Lift that top hand. Push into the bottom. Activate that bottom shoulder. Exhale. Drop that top elbow to your wrist. Let's reach up and hold, okay? Reach on up, left hand up, and hold here. Now we can take a break if we want. We can hang here, or we can spice it up a little bit by tucking the back toes, hovering that back knee, push that floor away from you. Long, slow breath here. Okay, we want to think of extra space in the chest, extra space in your ribs. 1 more breath here. And then as you're ready, bring it down. Top hand down inside that left foot. Back down on that back knee. Okay, so we've come down to this lunge and we'll sink in for a little while. Align your left arm and your left lower leg and start to press them into each other. Okay, check out how that feels in your left hip. And then we'll just take some time. So maybe you back out, maybe you kind of lean in and dive in by coming down to those elbows. So wherever you are, make sure you're still having fun. Most importantly, give the floor a little gentle resistance and let your head hang. Make the neck long, though. So notice where you feel this. Where can you let go? Notice the back of the left leg and the front of the right. Maybe one more big breath in here in this lizard lunge. And then we'll come out. So up on your hands. Okay, back to hands and knees. Left knee comes back again. And again, tuck your toes. Come on up to a forward fold. Walk your hands back to your feet. Lift those knees. Okay, again, same idea, shake it out. See if you notice anything opening up in the backs of your legs. Okay, it might be easier to fold now. And we're gonna play with a little variation on this fold. So pick up your right foot and step it directly in front of your left. And remember that of course, at any time you can bend your knees a lot or a little. It's really whatever's working for you. So after you've stepped your right foot in front of your left, just turn your right toes to the right. So your feet now make a little L shape and your toes are pointing to the right. And you can walk your fingers over to the right and just drape yourself over your legs. Of course, you can bend those knees. Okay, so find something that makes sense for you. Let your head hang. And if you still want a little bit more, you can keep your fingers walking until they point at the back of the mat. Okay, it just depends on how much sensation you want to go for here. So maybe one more big breath in here in this twisty fold. And we'll walk it back through center and switch sides. So right foot back to normal, left foot in front of right this time, like you're walking on a balance beam. And left toe is point to the left. Fingers walk to the left. Okay, if you want a little more, push the ground more, but make sure you're still hanging your head. You can walk your fingers to point behind you too. It's a good stretch for that right outer hip here. All right, my friends, bring it on back to center. Feet back to normal. And then again, walk your hands forward, back to hands and knees. So this time, let's get that right foot forward, again by the right hand, but we're heading to a pigeon posture. So just walk your right foot over to the left and drop that right knee. And stay up with me here. Some people like to go down to pigeon right away, but just take a little time up in pigeon with me. Walk your hands out in front and use them to support you. Check out your hips, please. Make sure they're level with each other. And then I really want you to activate your left glute. Okay, don't be shy. Turn that left glute on so it's really strong. And as a matter of fact, turn the whole right leg and left leg on. So your legs are super strong, resisting the floor at least a little. Once you've got your legs figured out, you can always slide that right foot closer to you also, by the way, if you want to make this more gentle. Then walk your hands out. Okay, you can use elbows to hang your head, maybe. And if that works pretty well, you can just bring your forehead down. But I have to keep reminding myself to activate my legs here, so while it's not necessary to push with all your strength, it is ideal to give a little resistance to the floor here. So give it some strength. Strong glute, strong legs. See if you can tune in to the sensations in your hips here and just kind of stay with any kind of intensity. Maybe one more long, slow breath. And start to peel yourself up out of this. Okay? Walk all the way up with your hands, and then I'm going to ask you to just sit your right hip down on the floor and kind of turn out to the left so that you're sitting up into this nice little half straddle shape, okay? And this is where we'll start to side open and side bend. So we'll take this left hand to that right hip, grounding in that right hip. Take a big breath in here, and that right hand reaches high, lengthening your spine. With your exhale, reach to the left. So I'd like to do that 2 more times. Think of grounding that right hip. Reach up tall on your inhale, get a little longer. Reach over to the left on your exhale. 1 more just like that, okay? Big breath in. Big exhale. And now over here on the left, we're going to hold and breathe, okay? Option to put the left hand on the left thigh. Left elbow to the left thigh, left elbow to the floor. You can also take those right fingers to the left foot if that floats your boat, but do keep your long neck, please, and your grounded right hip. I'm going to take a few more breaths here. Remember to lengthen all sides of your torso. 1 more big breath. And we're coming back out the same way we came in. So come back up, get that right hand on the floor, left hand on the floor. I'm going to have you roll yourself back to a hands and knees type position, okay? So just like we did before, just in reverse. From here, again, tuck your toes. I'm going to have you come up and back to a forward fold. Lift your knees, hands walk back to feet. And take a moment here to hang and swing. Forward fold. Okay, and this time I'll give you another forward fold variation to play around with. Okay, I like to have variety and options. And maybe you do too. So here's something I'm going to give you to play around with. Walk your feet pretty close together. Okay, the closer they are, the more challenging this will be. So you decide what that means for you. I like to have my big toes touching and my heels a little bit separate. And if you need to, bend your knees, okay? If it makes sense for you, go ahead and slide your hands underneath your feet. So the palm will be on the sole and your toes will be on your wrists, okay? And take a moment deciding how you feel about this. It's not for everyone, okay? And that's all right. You can just go back to whatever fold variation you prefer. But if everything's feeling pretty good, I want you to play around with your balance. So I want you to pick one of the feet up at the front so you're balancing on the heel. That's a really good calf stretch. Try the other side. And then you're just going to kind of play. So you can try that. You can try variations of that. Or I want to invite you to try lifting your heels as you step on one of your palms. Okay, maybe if one heel is fine, you can experiment with lifting both heels, okay? And then at some point, could you experiment with lifting both heels and just stepping on your hands? You're actually balancing on the backs of your hands. Whew. Okay, so 1 more big breath in here. Just something to play with. And we're going to let this one go. And we're coming all the way back down. So back down to your hands and knees here. So let's head to a pigeon on the left side. So this time, left foot by left hand. And we'll have to pick the left hand up to walk that left foot to the right, finding a pigeon. So settle in. Remember, I want you to stay up for a little bit, just so we can get the legs just right before we settle in. So if it's too much, just pull that left heel really close to your body, close to your hips, and it should help. Hips are level with the floor, okay, check. The glutes are active, check, okay. The legs are gently resisting the floor. Really doesn't take a whole lot, but give it a little bit of resistance. Then we walk the hands out. Take several breaths here. So as you gently press against the floor, as you activate the legs inward toward the hip sockets, where do you feel your hips in particular? Big breath, maybe 2 or 3 more long, slow breaths. Letting any extra tension here just roll off your back. Just set everything down here and just be completely in this posture. As you're ready, peel yourself back up out of this posture, and we'll do the same thing we did on the other side. So once your hands are back up underneath your shoulders, shift your weight onto your left hip so that you'll actually turn over to the right and sit yourself into a right side facing half straddle, and I'll spin around to face you, but we're in the same posture. Okay, so here we are. We'll get the side bend going. So I want you to ground that left hip, okay? Right hand on the left hip, left arm up. Remember, your neck stays long as you inhale. And exhale, reach to the right. So our challenge is to keep the left hip low. Inhale to bring it up. Lengthen more. Exhale to the right. One more, big breath in. Big exhale. Hold it right here. Okay, run through your options. You know you always have options. First of all, keep the left hip grounded. You can do right elbow on the thigh, right elbow on the floor. You can grab your toes. But make sure you're grounding and lengthening on all sides of the torso. Should feel nice in your low back and your side body. Maybe even your glutes, okay, on the left side. One more nice breath here into that whole left side body. And then come back up and around. So we'll come back out the same way we came in. Both hands back to the floor, top of the mat, back to a hands and knees position. And for the last time, let's come up to a forward fold. Tuck your toes, knees up, hands walk back to feet. Hang here, shake it out. So you should be feeling a whole lot of difference in the backs of your legs, your glutes and hips, your low back. We did some good work today. So I want to seal things off with a really nice yogi squat. We've warmed and opened your hips, and this is a great time. So you might want to walk your feet a little wider. Maybe mat width would be ideal. Turn your toes out a bit, and then start to drop your hips. And I just want to say that you don't have to rush this. You can take your time. There's no rush at all. Okay, when your hips come down, make the necessary adjustments with your feet. There's probably going to be a little adjusting you need to do. And try and sit up nice and tall. So if you want to put your palms together, then you can tuck your elbows between your knees, and that feels kind of good. Okay, so check that out. And then I want you to play around. So you're pressing your elbows into your knees and your knees into your elbows. Notice how that feels. But then once you start to feel really stable here, really push down through your heels. So I want you to strengthen and activate your legs and see if you could move your knees away from your elbows. So a nice challenge for your outer hip for sure. Nice long spine, even though it's challenging. One more big breath in right here. And let that go. So all hands back down in front. Okay, if you want to, from here, you can just sit back on your hips. So see if you can just drop your hips behind you, kick your legs out in front. And how about some windshield wipers here? Just dropping the knees side to side. Okay, with feet out in front, walk your feet so that they are close together, and then put the soles of your feet together, dropping your knees out wide. And if you sit up here, you can arrange your legs into a really nice diamond shape. So whatever distance suits you. So the closer you take your feet to you, the more opening you'll feel in your inner thigh, but it might be a little more pressure on your knee. So just be aware that there's a good distance and you're just going to have to find what that distance is. But whenever you find it, just rest your hands on your ankles or your shins or your knees. Sit up nice and tall. Close your eyes. I just want you to become aware of your long spine here. And if you're feeling a lot of opening in your legs here and your hips and you've had quite enough and you just want to stay here, please do. But if you'd like a little bit more, go ahead and put your fingertips on the ground and start to walk them forward. So your spine will round, okay, but you're doing your best to keep it as long as you can. Just sending that heart forward past your toes. Keep breathing into your low back. Maybe come down to your elbows. Maybe let your head hang, but please keep that neck long. Everyone's super different here, but depending on how much your low back tends to release here, or just depending on a bunch of things, some days it might happen, some days it might not. But sometimes your head might come down and just rest on your feet. And just keep reminding yourself to lengthen that spine and that neck. And breathe deeply. Maybe one more big breath right here. And then we'll start to walk it back up. Come back and out. Back until you can drop your hands behind you here. So walk them all the way behind you. Knees together. And you can keep a bend in your knees for this. Right? Tuck your fingertips just underneath your glutes. So you're sitting on just your fingertips, and you can drop to your elbows and arrange your elbows so that they're just under your shoulders. We're going to use our shoulder blades to open up this big heart. So left shoulder blade scoops under your rib cage, right shoulder blade scoops under, and they both lift your heart upward. So I really want you to keep this lifting heart, please, and put a really nice tuck in your chin, so that as you start to lower your back of your head toward the mat, your neck stays long and your chin remains a little bit tucked. So we'll take a few more breaths here. I want you to lift your heart and tuck your chin. You want to open up space between your shoulders and your throat. Maybe one more breath right here. When you're ready to come out, pull that chin back in towards your chest. You can send your elbows out away from you to the sides. Come all the way down to your back. All right. Back down on the mat. We just need one little twist to seal off the practice, and then it's time to rest. So if you just want to cross your right leg over your left, make goalposts out of your arms, and maybe give a little extra tuck with your shoulder blades underneath your heart. We'll just drop the knees to the left and look to the right. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel your chest lifting up as your belly button pulls in on the exhales. Maybe one more big breath. Bring that back in and uncross the right leg. Let's switch sides. So this time the left leg crosses over the right. Drop the knees to the right. Look to the left. Okay, you're going to lift your big chest with every inhale. And you're going to pull your belly button to your spine on the exhales. One more breath here. Bring it on back. Roll everything back through. Unhook that left leg. We are ready to relax. So extend your legs. Extend your arms next to you and find your resting posture. In Shavasana, I think it's really nice to scoot your shoulder blades under you so you get that really big, broad chest to breathe into. Put a little tuck in your chin so the back of your neck feels long and soft. And maybe try out a little smile as you release all effort. Let your body, breath, and mind just be without doing anything. And please keep resting just like this for as long as you can. This is where I'll leave you for our practice today. Thanks so much for joining me and for taking care of yourself.